Over the years, the more I've talked about my story, people have said to me, how did someone who was, raised with a good family, how did somebody who went to Harvard, how did somebody who had a job, how did that lead to homelessness? There's not one path to it, and any spot in the world can lead to it. Today, I'm an elected official in the second largest city in the country, representing about 275,000 people, some of the wealthiest and most powerful people in the world, the west side of Los Angeles. I grew up in a small town in Massachusetts, nuclear family. There were parents married, had jobs, 3 kids, happy childhood, went to college, got a job, the whole deal. So when I came to California in 91, 92, I was young and started living the party scene, and I fell into the party scene pretty hard. Alcohol and drugs, cocaine and crystal meth, and spiraled down pretty deeply and pretty quickly. And there are some people who are high-functioning addicts and alcoholics, and there are people who are not high-functioning addicts and alcoholics. I was one of the not high-functioning ones. And so I lost a lot. And I never lived in an encampment for months at a time, but I didn't have a place to live for a while. And there were nights I slept in my car. There were nights I slept on the beach. There were nights I scraped together a few bucks and stayed in really seedy motels. And there's some nights I stayed on some friends' couches. I'd get like a newspaper or Time magazine to read, a fifth of really, really crappy, cheap whiskey, and a loaf of Wonder Bread, some mustard, and some bologna. And that would be sort of what I'd live on for a couple of days at a time. I think what sparked the alcohol and the addiction is that I'm an addict. I have an addictive personality, and you're sort of hardwired for it. I don't know that anything makes you an addict. I spent a lot of time when I first got sober trying to figure out why, and then I realized I don't really give a shit about the why. It's about what you do about it no matter what. There was just one day I woke up and I just sort of gave up. I just didn't like the way I was feeling anymore, and I remembered sort of looking at the sunrise, and I had an opportunity when I was younger, just out of college, working in Massachusetts. I was a newspaper reporter, and it didn't pay very well. So on Friday nights, I took a part-time job at a homeless shelter. And so part of what I had to do working at that homeless shelter was, there was a men's dorm and a women's dorm. I had to sit in the men's dorm so the women could come in for an AA meeting. So for several months, I was weekly going to a 12-step meeting and hearing it all. I wasn't paying that much attention. I didn't think it had anything to do with me. But then a couple years later, when I was sort of awakening to hope or optimism or God or whatever you may call it, that memory was there, and it sort of kicked in. When I was running for re-election in 2017, and one of the candidates' debates, the moderator asked a question of the candidates about what sort of experiences have most deeply shaped you. And I named 2. One was being a father, and the other was being an addict. I think I understand a bit sort of the predicament of people who are homeless. Homelessness is all around us, and there's a universal thing, or a nearly universal thing I hear from people is, I didn't think it could happen to me. And as someone who's struggled with addiction in my life and spent some time sleeping on the beach and in my car, I know it can happen very easily. And my understanding of the world is that we're all broken and that we're all flawed and we all fall down, and we need to help pick each other up.